rolling through the sand like a thought in disguise. The scarab spins truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl, the Beatles rise.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.
Sort of burst the chaos, yet the chaos rise. My name Beatles, 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 over and over, spinning the world in the grip of their shoulders. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober. The heat fades lower, the order begins. The stillness so perfect, it hums from within. The void sings softly, entropy takes a bow. In the shadow of silence, the scarab knows how. The second law is dancing, feeding life through decay. The third law holds the promise that the stillness will stay. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.
All right, yep. Mic is on. Okay. So, oh, there we go. All right, so we are definitely in the back of the book. Page 391. We are on page 391. Fat is not neutral. Page 321. Fat is not neutral. If we go back to part of the conversation that sparked this whole situation, that sparked this whole melanin versus diabetes, everything, all the way back to book one. Is book one somewhere findable? No, I don't know where book one is. Book one is it's thin. Book one is thin, which makes book one hard to find whenever I'm looking for it. Interestinado. Okay, I don't know where book one is. One is so skinny. Where are you? Anyway, Melanin versus Diabetes, book one, right? One of the most important caveats in the book is Max Kleber and his work, right? let's pull up Max Kleber. Let's get us a Google on Max Kleber. Let's go old school with it. Let's go old school with it and hit the wiki. Okay. Max Kleber, Swiss agricultural biologist, doing his thing in the 1920s, 1924. Right? Blasi Splee. Oh, man, what is this? They done violate my man. Look at, they ain't put nothing here. All right, so I guess we got to hit this. Right? This is the main important thing anyway. He is credited with the description of the ratio of metabolism to body mass, which became Kleber's law. Kleber's law is the observation that for the vast majority of animals, an animal's metabolic rate scales to 3/4 the power of the animal's mass. More recently, Kleber's law has been shown to apply in plants, suggesting that Kleber's observation is much more general. Okay, now we're going to click on, actually, we might not even need to click around. We might just sit right there. Didn't I tell y'all that once we start delving in deeper and deeper into this wave information, when we come back, things are going to look different. Now think about where the conversation is. We're going all the way to Melanin versus Diabetes, book 1. I've been waiting to get here, right? I've been waiting to get here with the family. So let's say, to make it easy, we got 200 pounds, right? Now remember, the simplified version of matter and mass, right? Super simplify it, right? Right? Energy, right? So mass and matter, energy, right? Energy, the unseen, combines, congeals, and becomes matter, right? So something like that, right? Something like that, right? As we know, mass is a calculation of energy, and mass relates to matter, right? Even though sometimes matter and mass are used interchangeably, which makes them confusing, right? Now, we have Kleber's law over here. We have Kleber's law over here. And Kleber's law says that the description of the ratio of metabolism to body mass, right? An animal's metabolic rate is 3/4 the power of the animal's mass. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about energy, right? We're talking about the energy required to maintain the function and the structure right? being quantified in a fraction, right? That goes across animal species and now into the plant kingdom. So there is a quantifiable relationship between mass, energy, and metabolism. Right? Which is the whole entire game. Listen, this is the whole entire game right here. This is the whole entire game. I figured this out very early on. Whole entire game. After examining all different types of people on the 40-day fast, right? And remember, we had our conversation the other day. I know it's been a lot of content. So a lot of people are having a content metabolism problem right now. People are having a content metabolism problem, right? We put up more videos than people are used to consuming. And people got the books. They're like, hold up, Inky, you add more content. Like, just do your best. Just get the books. Just get the books. Just get the books. Don't worry. We're going to help you go through the books, but get the books. So you have the book, so you can go through it at your own pace because we may go through half the book or a fourth of the book. We may go through 1/4 the book. You got to have the book, right? But I said we're having a lot of this wave energy conversation. And early on, like in October, November, as we was having these beginning to shift to these conversations, people were getting lost because people couldn't figure out. You talking about traveling waves and standing waves. I'm trying to get to the melanin and the anabolic. I'm trying to like get this 6-pack in. And what does this have to do with a 6-pack? Or my uncle has cancer, or I have diabetes, or this or that. Like, what does that have to do with the? And I'm like, well, everything, because traveling waves and standing waves is literally how energy moves, doesn't move, solidifies. Like, it is the nature of energy. And metabolic disease is either an energy storage problem or energy metabolism problem. Right? So a traveling wave problem or a standing wave problem. Right? But then it translates even further because our body is made out of energy, and most of our structure, most of our composition, and we may or may not have a protein class tonight, right? But most of our composition comes from non-essential amino acids. And the non-essential amino acids are based on what? Energy metabolism, right? Our body breaks down the carbohydrates and the fats to create the non-essential amino acids. So most of your structure, not only is your structure made out of energy, right? When we talk about atoms, but literally the process of energy builds the mass. And the actual metabolism of the energy substrates creates the physical mass, which is the reason why. So this needed, I might have to put this as Inky's addendum to Kleber's law. Yeah. Next book, Inky's addendum to Kleber's law. The reason why the 3/4 scales, the reason why the 3/4 scales to mass is because mass is based on energy, and so is your matter. So is your flesh. Right? So is your flesh. Your energy metabolism builds your body. This is the reason why no two people should have the exact same program. If you're a daycare teacher, you should not have the same diet, calorie, protein intake, nutrition intake as LeBron James. And LeBron James shouldn't have the same program as a day trader or a stockbroker or whatever, right? Everybody's body composition is unique. And then how they run their body, the metabolism is unique. So the wear and tear they put on the body is unique, right? So the energy demands are unique and the structural demands are unique. All right. Okay. One more song. One more song.
In the beginning was the wave.
Resonate, resonate, see what I'm saying, levitate, resonate, resonate, nah, I mean I'm trying to elevate. Resonate, resonate, words can't describe or articulate. Resonate, resonate, feel me, celebrate. When they was partying and they was drinking, the gospel of music had me writing, thinking. Music is sounds, but it's also written words. Lego notes, fifths, halves, quarters, thirds. The periodic table of atoms. The language of the gods and wave patterns.
So when you see that video, right? When you see that video, what that video is going through, like all of these videos that I have, like, well, y'all can't see that they're programmed in. Some videos on YouTube, some are programmed in. These videos that are programmed in, all are designed for visual learning, right? So we have the books, we're doing visual learning, and then we have the songs. So the visual learning is a new component, right? The visual learning is a new component, even though it's not a new component for people that have been with me long enough, because y'all can remember when my book pages were mostly picture and very little words, right? Might be a couple sentences or a paragraph, but it's huge pictures and diagrams, right? Just experimenting. And then before I went through that phase, I was in a phase where it was all words, super word salad. So I went from word salad to picture heavy to article heavy, right? So, you know, just different ways to provide different teaching tools and different learning tools. But now I think we're in a good space. We're writing our own articles because, well, we've got 100+ books that are already, you know, article heavy. So we're referenced to the wazoo. But now we've gotten into making our own articles. We have the songs that offer a different type of learning. And then we have the visuals, right? So we have visuals for inspiration, like the breath, respiratory system. We have visuals for photosynthesis and the production of plant nutrients, right? Plant genetics. We have, I wouldn't necessarily say visuals, but we have our vitamin D video, right? And now we have the newcomer, right? So the newcomer, right, is going through body waves, emotions, right? And not necessarily like a specific emotion, but emotions in general, being a byproduct of pigment cells and receptor cells, right? And there's more receptor cells than I put in the video, but I just put a couple in the video so you get the idea, like chemoreceptors. So you see chemical molecules and how they're converted to electricity or just being converted to electricity. You see temperature, which are thermoceptors, right? Where temperature is converted to electricity. You see pain receptors where pain is converted to electricity. You see photoreceptors where light is converted to electricity, right? And then conducted throughout the nervous system. So you see kind of nerve cells doing their thing, producing electricity, and neurotransmitters, big envelope, right? What else do you see? And then you see the whole, the whole body, right? With the nervous system lighting up electrically. So just try to provide, another way of reinforcing the information and make it simple, right? Let's go. Yeah, tell them what to do, man. They need instructions.
Share the video, hit the like, subscribe, Cash App. Share the video, hit the like, subscribe. Share the video, hit the like, subscribe. Share the video, hit the like, subscribe.
Share the video, hit the like. Follow Cab Lead, right? Follow Cab Lead. Follow Don't Take My Word for It instruction, right? All right. So week 12, day 1, right? Fat is not neutral. Fat is not neutral. It is not a passive energy reserve, right? It's not a passive energy reserve, right? So that is another key piece to understanding with this whole madness surrounding Kleber's law, right? Is how your body decides and designates what sugar and fat to store, what protein to convert to sugar to store as fat, like what excess calories, right, have you consumed, like how your body is deciding what to do, right? How your body is deciding what to do, right? Convert this into structure, convert this into fat, convert this into electricity. Like, what are we doing with what we're consuming, right? That is also designated here, right? When you see that this goes across species, even into plants, right? Then you know your body storing fat or creating electrogenesis. You know that this is another reason why I have the video for photosynthesis and inspiration or respiration, right? Because electrogenesis is ubiquitous throughout all of life. Converting sugar, converting fat into electricity, every species. And when you see that there's a fixed number, that means there's a fixed proportion. So that means what your body is doing is clinging to a blueprint. There's a blueprint. Hint, hint, wink, wink. This is why we have a book called The Blueprint That Builds Itself. Right? The Blueprint That Builds Itself. Yeah, I got to get these books. There's a blueprint. Under that blueprint, there's a program. Over that blueprint, there's a program. In terms of metabolism, right? And the two things that are going to be most triggering are going to be obviously calories in, calories out, right? Calories in, calories out. But the hidden factor is the program, which has been falsely attributed to a variety of hormones, which is where doctors every 5 or 10 years flip the hormone. Oh, well, insulin is the obesity hormone. No, leptin is the obesity hormone. No, ghrelin is the obesity hormone. It's not a specific hormone. It's the hormone's job to carry out the plan. The hormone's job is to facilitate the blueprint. So it depends on what you do, what you consume, how your body's going to interpret that, take that input in, and then create an output. Trigonometry, input, output, function. Right? So fat is not neutral. Fat stores excess sugar and protein. It also stores trauma, right? Trauma, chemicals that we didn't get rid of, we can't process, right? Maybe some viruses, some bacteria may be snuggled in there. Maybe some damaged cells might be lingering around, right? So fat can store all kinds of things in there that are detrimental to your body, right? And just for the record, because I know somebody need to hear this, detrimental is one of the most butchered words in all of vocabulary-dom. People be thinking that the word detrimental means important. No. Detrimental is not fundamental. Okay? Fundamental is something that's important to the basic foundation of something. It's fundamental. Detrimental is something that is damaging. So please, I know somebody might need that. Don't be butchering the word detrimental. Right? Do not butcher the word detrimental. All right. So fat is not just a neutral energy depot where extra energy is just stored up for later. Also, when you see that clip, right? When you see that clip of the nervous system, your nervous system is required to electrify fat. Your nervous system is required to release the contents of fat into circulation for the process of electrogenesis. When you are active, you increase nerve growth and nerve connectivity. When you are not active, your nerves atrophy. So when you're just getting active, especially a specific area of your body, right? Because if we're not like exercising actively and targeting all over our body, right? If we don't exercise at all, we just live our life. Say we got a 9 to 5, whatever. There are specific muscle groups that you exercise more or less just throughout the day because your day demands it. Whatever your job is or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like just going from your bedroom to your kitchen demands certain muscle groups function to get you out of bed to the kitchen, make you snack, whatever you got to do. Right? There are other muscle groups that are not being used as much. Right? Some may be not used at all. Right? What happens is we start to develop patterns. Right? We start to develop patterns with muscle movement, with lethargy, right? So now there's a pattern of energy storage, energy utilization. The muscle groups that are underused in those places, because I mean, technically they're probably all underused if we're sedentary, but the ones that are chronically underused, you're going to start losing nerve connectivity in those muscle groups. You may even start losing some muscle connectivity in the fat areas in certain places in your body. So when you begin exercising, that is a part of the curve you have to go through. That is one of the subtle differences that you will never hear discussed in a personal trainer video anywhere. Listen to what I'm telling you. If you ever wonder to yourself, like you see, like maybe LeBron James may have a personal trainer and he may be paying his trainer $500,000 a year. And you might be saying to yourself, I wonder what that trainer is telling LeBron James that my trainer for $25 an hour is not telling me. That's going to be one of those things. That's going to be one of those things, right? This is the reason why people that are really in shape, tend to stay in shape, right? Like things that are in motion tend to stay in motion because they're going to have a lot better nerve connectivity throughout their body, right? They're also, like we discussed before, right? They're going to have the better brain connectivity to the nerves, right? Their neurons and their nerves will talk better. So not only will they have better nerve to muscle and nerve to fat connectivity and reactivity, they'll also have better neuron to nerve connectivity, right? Remember, you're going neurons, right, to neurons, right? But these are different groups. So you have the neurons up here. They're going to do their thing, and then they're going to communicate through the brain stem, through the neurons in the spine. Then the neurons in the spine are going to talk to the nerves that then go out and talk to the muscles, the fat cells, and everybody else, right? The pigment cells, the receptor cells, and all that, right? So the better you get at using a specific set of movements, that means those muscles, those nerves, the chain from muscle or fat, muscle and fat, to nerve, to spine, to brain, to neurons, right? That chain is more reactive. That chain is more connected than John Q. Public's, right? And that's why practice makes perfect. Because when you're practicing a set of movements, it's not just the muscle activity. It's what the muscle activity represents. The muscle activity represents electricity and light and magnetism. That's what a movement is. Electricity, light, and magnetism, right? Magnetism has to carry the oxygen around, right? Hemoglobin to myoglobin, magnetism, right? Then once the oxygen gets there, right? Myoglobin to mitochondria, right? The electron transport chain is little iron units. So it's iron to iron to iron. It's going from the iron of the hemoglobin to the iron of the myoglobin to the iron of the heme, once again, inside the electron transport chain. Iron, 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 right? Magnetism, right? Then we're creating electric stream, right? Because all the mitochondria is driving the muscle fibers to do their thing, right? So electric streams, right? And we're creating a light storm. We're creating a light storm throughout the nerves, the neurons, the brain, the heart, everywhere in between, right? And that is doing what? All being driven by water, right? So as your body gets used to a set of movement, your body gets used to a cascade. The better it gets at that cascade, the better the movements get. That's the same whether you're trying to shoot a 3 or whether you're playing piano keys, right? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what it is. All right. So visceral fat, our enemy, our op, right? Visceral fat, estrogen, viral particles, viruses, bacteria, right? Lipopolysaccharides, some even from bacteria themselves, lipophilic toxins, right? BPA and some of those things that stick, mold, right? Fungus, right? All of these things can sit and build up in fat cells, fat tissue, aromatase activity, right? Estrogen, right? All of that is also driven by your fat cell activity, right? What is aromatase? Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. So there are a bunch of people out there that have no business on TRT. What you mean, Doc? We on that TRT. I got a test. My test showed that I got low testosterone levels. Did that test check and see if you got high estrogen levels? Did that test check and see if you had high aromatase activity? Because if you got high aromatase activity, you may not have a testosterone problem, right? You may just have an aromatase problem. Your body may be producing adequate levels of testosterone, but because you have an excess activity from aromatase, your testosterone is being gobbled up and turned into estrogen. So your estrogen levels are high because of the aromatase, not because your body or your testes or whatever is not producing testosterone, right? So visceral fat becomes nasty, right? We get gyno, right? We get gyno, right? Women don't notice when they have gyno because they have boobs already, right? Xenoestrogens from plastic, phthalates, pesticides, all of these things can mimic estrogen in the body. And this is what happens. When fat cells get larger, your body gets the signal to pump more estrogen. When your body pumps more estrogen, some of that estrogen will get stashed inside the fat cells, making the fat cells larger. And as the fat cells get larger, your body gets a signal to pump out more estrogen. But this excess estrogen, it's got to go somewhere. Your body's going to put that inside the fat cells, making the fat cells larger. And so as the fat cells get larger, and you have a self-referencing, self-structuring, self-reinforcing fat system that has little to do with you having a sandwich or some ice cream. It has everything to do with your blueprint. Your blueprint is out of whack because you're not balancing the thing that's not mentioned in Kleber's law. The thing that's missing from Kleber's law.
In the beginning was the way was God, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the way we raise injury, I'm the divine epiphany.
I love Dr. Enki. Dr. Enki. I love Dr. Enki.
Yo. American Hiller. Talk to him. Hey, anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Hormone jump, blood flow rush, brain work sharp, that steel cut hush. Muscle strength up, whole frame turn savage, sex magic in the cut, big fertility package. Heart disease back down, we block no plots, fibroid shrink, cancer rate drop, memory locked in cognition on 10, we healing in the world they play. Amen. Pure knowledge in the vein.
Plant genetics, plant genetics, plant genetics. Right? So the thing that's missing, though, is movement. Right? And we discussed that. Melanin versus Diabetes, book 1. Right? The first thing that's missing with the foundation of the book is energy producing cells. At the time of Max Kleber, in fact, all the way up until Dr. Enki, the body was broken down into 2 types of cells. cells that consume a lot of energy, and cells that consume very little energy, fat cells, right? There was no real, there was no concept of cells that are energy producing, high energy producing, more energy than they may be. And these are cells that are energy cells. They're there to translate energy, period, right? They're there to translate energy, period. That's what they do, right? So even if they're using energy, they're using it to translate energy, right? Incoming from some source, right? So movement is the other key piece, right? Movement is the other key piece. And I believe it is Melanin vs. Diabetes book 3, where we came with a whole bunch of lingo and, bringing in the movement part, right? We came with a whole bunch of lingo. Shout out to Jay Lenz earlier saying we need our own lingo. Jay Lenz, you need to get some of them books and stop playing, right? But yeah. Enter the Inky cycle, right? And we came in with the Inky cycle, right? So, but the blueprint, right? Now, HIV, COVID, herpes, all of these viruses and more. These are just like famous viruses. These are just famous viruses. These viruses have been found in fat tissue. These viruses have been found in fat tissue.
In the beginning was the way was God, the way was God, the way was hard. Every step a symphony, timelines infinity, the way we raise injury, I'm the divine epiphany.
I love Dr. Enki. Dr. Enki. I love Dr. Enki.
Yo. American Hiller. Talk to him. Hey, anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic, not for profit. I'm a prophet, you know he got it. Anabolic.
All right, so if we go here, right? If we go here, the Google demons will provide you with some reinforcement, right? The Google demons will provide you with some reinforcement. Primary viruses linked to causing fat, adipogenesis, right? Adenoviruses, right? Adenoviruses. Now, we discuss adenoviruses in a couple of the books, right? But that's not what we're looking at. We're not looking at viruses that cause, right, fatness. We want to talk about viruses that live in there, right? Viruses that live in there, right? These are viruses that live in fat, right? So it's not just a concept. It's not just a concept. It's a very real thing. So attacking your body's fat reserves also attack latent viruses that are hiding, waiting to strike again. You think they're gone, they hiding, waiting to strike again, right? So does that mean that somebody with zero body fat, which doesn't exist in a healthy person, right? But a person with zero body fat, does that mean that they have zero? No, that doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. But this is one of the reasons why people who are in better shape tend to be healthier or tend to have more resistance to infection, right? Because the viruses have nowhere to hide. They are under attack, right? They're visible. All of the body's defenses can attack them. Your lymphatic system is constantly cycling, constantly filtering, constantly learning what attacks worked, which attacks didn't, studying, all of that is taking place in a body where the person is more active as opposed to a person with a lot of fat, which means the boogeymen have a lot of places to hide. And when they hide in fat cells, they straight. It's food in there. It's warm in there. They good. Nobody's coming to kill them in there. They good, right? They don't have to pop their head out, right? So those are just some of the more famous family members from the virus family, right? Candida. Woo! Candida loves it. Candida loves it, right? Candida loves it. PCBs, right? You watch some of these health channels, they would tell you about PCBs, BPAs, dioxins, all of these materials. Don't drink the bottled water because the bottled water, most of those things, your body will just go ahead and push into fat. Your body doesn't know what to do with it, doesn't even really know how to get rid of it. So those things wind up getting stored in fat as well. So if you want to flush toxins from the system, right? These are things that, again, your monthly detox helps with. Your monthly detox, right? A large portion of the herbs are there to stimulate fat loss and fat metabolism, right? A part of boosting NRF2 function in the complex of herbs that we use is to try to keep your fat cells constantly emptying, trying to make sure the nerve connectivity is there. Why? Because the first primary threat to your redox is chemical. So the NRF2 is geared towards chemical assault. Electrophiles. What is an electrophile? An electrophile, now you know about a PDF file, right? An electrophile is something that loves to steal electricity, steal life, right? What is that? A Greek god name that stole the thing, that stole the light from the god, right? So your NRF2 system is geared towards that first, right? It's geared towards chemical assault, right? Now, when we look at that video, let me play that. Let me let that video play, just to get a little visual. Let me let that video.
In the beginning was the wave.
Resonate, see what I'm saying, levitate, resonate, nah, I mean I'm trying to elevate, resonate, words can't describe or articulate, feel me, celebrate. When they was partying and they was drinking, the gospel of music had me writing, thinking, music it sounds but it's also written words. Lego notes, fifths, halves, quarters, thirds. The periodic table of atoms. The language of the gods and wave patterns. The periodic table of atoms. E equals MC squared. The musical wave patterns. The facts are late. Synapse engaged. Perhaps a slave. Collapse away. The heart detonate. The tongue generate. The stone demonstrate. The mind meditate. Honestly, honor me for escaping poverty, turning lemons to lemonade, noise into harmony. Awfully, God is the music of my artery, the heart of me. Woo, the beat is the best part of me. God is the way. God is the music. God is the music. Without it, I might lose it. God is the way. God is.
So the concept, right? A part of emotion, right? Remember our concept, right? Our concept is based on the well-known brain waves. Well-known, well-documented brain waves. Patterns of neurons firing in the brain. Emotions, who knows what those are? Feelings, who knows what those are? We know what those are. We have coined the phrase body waves. For what? The big neurons throughout the body, right? And the thing with the big neurons, aka nerves, is that they are tapped into pigment, bone cells, and receptor cells that broaden the network. So you have nerves tapping into the bone, piezoelectric signals, pressure signals, mechanical wave signals, right? Pigment for various forms of light and heat, receptors, chemo, pain, touch, you name it, right? All of those relating to the nerves, facilitating patterns of nerve firing, right? Patterns of nerve firing, right? And so we have feeling, we have emotion, we have thought, right? We have feeling, we have thought, right? One of the ways that disease happens, and disease is sustained and maintained is by fat disrupting signal flow. Fat disrupting signal flow. Now, in the brain, we have pools of pigment, right? We have pools of pigment. Like we have the substantia nigra and locus ceruleus, right? Two different places where you have pools of pigment, right? And the color is a little different, right? But it's both melanin, right? The difference is the locus ceruleus is more norepinephrine driven pigment, and the substantia nigra is dopamine driven, right? But it still plays a key role in body wave or brain waves. Throughout the body, we have the same thing going on. In fact, anytime fat disrupts signaling anywhere in the brain of the body, you're going to have breakdown. You're going to have dysfunction, right? You're going to have dysfunction, right? Whatever the symptoms that show up, right? So another thing, again, as we get the fat down, not just nerve connectivity, right? But nerve function, right? Not just nerve connectivity, but nerve function becomes improved. These are all little key differences that you may not know. You may not be able to quantify what it is, right? Sometimes in the holistic space, you try it, some herbs or this or that, and you don't know how to explain it, but you know you feel better, right? Some of that is placebo. Some of that is just fake. It's just placebo. Some of that, though, is very real, and you just don't know how to articulate what it is, right? It's because there are other things going on that might not be what your goal is, but these are milestones that need to be accomplished before your goal gets accomplished. So before you get the muscle definition you're looking for, or to lose X amount of pounds, whatever, there's some other things that you may need, right? You may need your bones to go in reverse. Who knows how long that's going to take? Your bones got to go in reverse. When you are sedentary, your bones are not used to much pressure. Because your bones are not used to much pressure, the joints where you're supposed to have the synovial fluid, your synovial fluid is low. Synovial fluid is also based on pressure. So the bone density is low, synovial fluid is low. You want to all of a sudden go to working out like somebody you've seen on Instagram or Facebook. Okay, well, You're going to get some results, but then results going to slow down a little bit because your body is now converting signals saying, oh my God, the intensity that we're trying to get to is way more than what we can sustain. And you're only trained because you keep watching videos of bodybuilders. Oh yeah, you just need 2 days rest off that muscle group. Oh yeah, you just need 2 days off that and 2 days off this and 2 days off that. All them dudes is juiced up. They've been working out for 10, 20 years and they on steroids. You need way more than 2 days rest for your body to recover because it's more than just muscle recovery. You're unaware maybe that muscle is more dense than fat. So as you're trying to increase muscle and decrease fat, you're asking your body to carry more weight. And not just more weight, you're asking your body to carry more force-driven weight, which means there'll be more pressure on the joints, more pressure on the ligaments, more pressure on the tendons, more pressure on the bones. Well, bones, tendons, and ligaments, and synovial fluid, and all those things, all those intangibles, they take a lot longer to build than your muscles do. So when you're looking at somebody who's already in shape, roughly tell you what they got to do, that ain't got nothing to do with you at home. That has nothing to do with you at home. Nothing to do with you. In fact, trying to duplicate what's homeboy name where he woke up and put his face in the coat. You trying to duplicate homeboy program. He just did a video. I'm working out at the most dangerous gym in the world. Let me tell you about this gym. There's a gym called the most dangerous gym in the world where they be in there purposely like injuring themselves and all that, filming it. One dude dropped 700 pounds or something crazy on his foot and still finished his work. Crazy. He up in there working out with them to redeem himself because he's an egomaniac. So because I Show Speed, who's like a kid YouTube streamer, he's a streamer, he's a Twitch, whatever. He's not really a kid anymore. He's a millionaire and he's a grown man. But we still view streamers as kids because most of them start 15, 16 years old. And however we seen you the first time, that's how we remember you. Right. So, but I Show Speed is a young man and he's supposed to be the super bodybuilder, whatever. I Show Speed dogged him. They raced, rematched again. I Show Speed destroyed him. So his ego was crushed. So now he trying to make a viral moment, working out with these dudes just released off of prison and all kind of foolishness. Translation. You, though, at the house, you ain't got no business following. You ain't got no business following them. Shout out to my guy Harwin in the building. Right? You ain't got no business following them, though, right? Because you got to wait for certain things to catch up. So you need, again, and I try to instill this in y'all, you have to get in shape enough to begin getting in shape. That is a process. You have to get in shape enough to get in shape. You can't just get out there and run a sprint. You got to do your walks. And then your walks got to turn into jogs. And then your jogs got to turn into like intermittent sprints where you jogging and then every so often your favorite song might come on or whatever and you feel the energy and you just book it for half a block or whatever the case may be. Then you slow back down into your jog, right? And that goes on until you can go for an actual run. Or you can go out one day and just hit the track and just do sprints all day or whatever the case may be. But you got to build up the same way you work with weights. Weights are just more, demanding and they're more honest, right? Push-ups, more demanding, more honest. Your mind can tell you're getting ready to do 100 push-ups, but it might be 11. Might be 11 push-ups. You might, in your mind, like, yeah, I'm about to drop down, bust out this quick 100. You might get the number 8, and then it's just different. The floor just keep coming back. It's like very close to you. Yeah, you struggling to get to 10, right? You got to build up. You know what I'm saying? Those are very safe, very honest, because it keeps you. Now, you bust out into a run, you may be able to activate fight or flight and get into a run, but guess what? Body ain't built for that. The run is dishonest. The run is nasty work, because you'll go for a run, and while you're in the middle of running, pop, pang, whoop, a screw done came off, something done popped, something done blew. By the time you stop that run, you ain't going to be able to walk for 6 months, right? So you got to take your time with stuff. You got to let the bones do their thing density-wise to prepare for the pressure of your activity and of your newfound weight that you'd like to be at, right? You got to have the ligament integrity, the tendon integrity. You got to build the synovial fluid in the joints, the fluidity in the joints, the muscle chains. You have to begin to start your amino acid prep, right? You got to start consuming the amino acids that you need for your intentional, where you'd like to be, right? So all those things need to be in place before you think you catching up with one of these. Why does Andre Harrell name keep popping into my mind when I think of this guy that raced with I Show Speed? I don't know his name. Yeah. Screws coming loose, all that. What's his name? What's his name? The dude, the diesel guy that was racing I Show Speed. My mind drawing a blank. I keep thinking of Ashton Hall. Ashton Hall. There you go. That's why I keep thinking Andre Harrell. That's close. That's close. Ashton Hall. Oh my goodness. Now, when you have the visceral fat, though, visceral fat is particularly dangerous because visceral fat is in and around the organs. In and around the organs. And your heart particularly has anywhere from 2, 3, 4 type of ways visceral fat can attack it, right? So we have whole books dedicated to visceral fat. We have whole books dedicated to understanding visceral fat, right? Remember the blueprint. We haven't had class in a while, but remember the blueprint, right? Nature, photosynthesis is creating hydrated carbon for energy, right? For immediate use. For immediate use. How does nature give you the ability to store energy for later? By getting rid of the oxygen. So when you see fat chains look like this. You got the carbon, right? Don't worry about the number of carbon. But it looks like this always. Right? Or it may have two over there, right? Or maybe it's got 2 over here, right? but you have a chain of carbons, and all of the carbons is attached to 2 hydrogens, right? And there's no oxygen. The oxygen may be somewhere down here on the tail, right? The oxygen may be somewhere down at the head or the tail of the unit of fat, right? So you'll have a whole bunch of carbons, and they'll be attached, each one of them, to 2 hydrogens, right? Wherever the 2 hydrogens are placed at, right? Because that's that blueprint, right? So what has to happen in order to get this energy free? You have to bring in the oxygen. Have to oxidate it, right? You have to oxidate it. More movement, more inspiration. More movement, more inspiration. More oxygen. The more oxygen, the more you can oxidize fat. Right? Now, some people would say, oh, well, you could sit down and do your meditation and do your yogic whatever and tantric breathing and your fire walker breathe. That's great. You can increase your breath rate. Cool. Or what is the other guy that be in the cold, the swimming pool? Wim Hof. You can increase the speed of your breath. But if you're standing still, right, there's not going to be a conversion. You're standing still, there's not going to be a conversion, which is the reason why you get lightheaded, right? Because when you increase the oxygen and you get the blood really super saturated with oxygen, you'll slightly boost up your alkalinity. You'll get into a slight space where you're starting to approach alkalosis, right? So your body gets lightheaded to stop you from breathing and get into a space where you exhale a little bit more. Right? So you can get back to a balanced pH, right? It's not unless you're actually moving that all of the different muscle cells can benefit from the accelerated breathing and bringing in more oxygen. Because the more oxygen you breathe in, the more you can process sugar, lactic acid, etc., and get activity, right? So don't think that there's some sort of cheat code where you're getting ready to meditate your way into fat loss. No matter how much hot yoga you're doing, how much sweating you're doing, that is not necessarily translating into fat loss, right? Everybody that goes to hot yoga, go to hot yoga. There's going to be a fat person that been there for 6 months, 12 months. They still a fat person. Why? Because you're not losing anything in hot yoga but water, electrolytes, and sugar. So as soon as you leave hot yoga and go have you a sandwich, you right back at baseline. You ain't do no fat work. Right? Now, can going from sedentary to practicing hot yoga increase and cause you to eventually start to drop some real fat? Absolutely. Because it's increasing your baseline of movement and activity, but not because the room is 105 degrees and you sweating like crazy, or because you drank 2 gallons of water that day. It's not that. It's not that. Right? So week 12, day 1 is about fat. Right? It's about fat. So when we bring in the oxidation, right? When we bring in the oxidation, there's a few things that's going on. When we bring in the oxidation, right? Remember we talk about the blood flow, flooding, right? Flooding. We're increasing blood flow, right? Which does what? Increase oxygen. Potentially, right? Potentially, because the hemoglobin and myoglobin got to do their thing, right? So potentially increasing the amount of oxygen, right? Lymphatic movement. right? Immune system, right? People dealing with that virus floating around, right? NRF2, right? The NRF2 system is the antioxidant system switch, right? So if you want to switch off oxidation and turn on antioxidation, that is this. That is this, right? So again, if we go back to the list, when we lose fat, what are we losing? When we lose fat, what are we losing? Aromatase activity. Aromatase activity. Viruses. Bacteria. Right? What else are we losing? We ain't even gonna put all the names of these. We're just gonna say toxic chemicals. Right? Toxic chemicals. Right? What else are we doing? Regulating what? Now watch this. This is a trick. How many people in the chat right now? How many people in the chat? How many people in the chat have this book right here? How many people in the chat have that book? Or we give y'all another option. How many people have that book or this book? Because I know it's in this book. You have this fibroids book? Who got this fibroids book? Because this fibroids book is probably the main book where I talk about this. Here's a trick. Here's a trick. A lot of people talk about, and it's got so crazy that people done made like businesses off of this. And when I say businesses, I'm talking about they doing customer traps and all that, like in front of your YouTube. They be like, these are the seven foods you should never eat because they are secretly attacking your protein, or they secretly attacking your testosterone, you know. We know about cortisol and testosterone. We know as the stress hormones go up, and then there's other ones, right? C-reactive protein, and just there's a bunch of other, you know, inflammatory markers / stress hormones, right? And they go against the anabolic cycle, the androgen cycle, right? But the thing is, estrogen decrease vitamin D activity. Estrogen decrease vitamin D activity. So now let's go back to that mean little cycle. When we did that little heal up, wing up, bring it back, come rewind, powerful impact, boom, from the cannon. We did that little, as the fat cells get fatter, more estrogen gets produced. When you have excess estrogen, your body tries to shuttle that into the fat cells, making the fat cells fatter, which means even more estrogen is going to be produced. And your body has to put that estrogen, that excess estrogen, somewhere, and it shuttles it into the fat. So the fat cells get fatter, more estrogen, fatter, estrogen, fat, estrogen. And they start to inflate each other. Well, there's something else going on in the background. And this ties into what I was saying earlier about when you just start to working out, you got to build the bones, the tendons, ligaments, blah, blah, blah. Well, vitamin D. Because if we have low levels of vitamin D, not because we're not getting it, right? Now, listen to this. This is important. Because some of y'all think y'all lit and you might be having a challenge you don't know you got. You're like, oh, well, I live in Florida. I live in Texas. I live in Memphis. I live in LA. I live in, you know, some of these places where we getting sun. I live in Bahamas. Yeah. I'm on the equator, Doc. And I still go to your website and support and get the vegan vitamin D just to double up. Well, guess what? If your aromatase / estrogen and all that is not intact, it's going to gobble up your vitamin D. Just think about it like that. So you could be getting the natural vitamin D and the supplemented vitamin D on top of that, and still your vitamin D levels be crazy because your estrogen levels is crazy. And vitamin D regulates what? Cholesterol, iron, right? So it's not just the bones that low vitamin D will impact, but it's your ability to oxidate, right? Because vitamin D impacts your VO2. It impacts your body's ability to circulate oxygen. It impacts your iron. Estrogen lowers vitamin D. Low vitamin D weakens bones, weakens blood. All right. All right. Just saying, we got to keep that estrogen together. Right? We got to keep that estrogen together. So it's okay to get a little fupa. It's okay to get a little belly. Right? But you got to watch that belly is the number one indicator of what is happening with your estrogen. Right? Because some people exercising and they still not getting their body, that the results ain't coming. It's estrogen. It's estrogen. So yes, you can bulk up and do more vitamin D in the meantime to help offset the action of the estrogen. Right? So double up on your vitamin D, sure. Right? But attack the estrogen, right? And you can do that with the NRF2, with the detox. The monthly detox kit is going to fight aromatase. Right? So these are all keys that you're going to need to put in the back of your mind. Right? But anyway, as you're losing fat, you're losing aromatase, potential bugs, bacteria, toxic chemicals, estrogen levels will get re-regulated, right? But now you got to remember, you may have some challenges, right? If you got a bunch of stored up toxins that's out of circulation, your body done put them in fat cells to get them out of circulation so they're relatively inert. You start exercising, all that stuff coming out of the fat into the blood at one time with whatever little bad guys. Now, bacteria, you got biofilm, so that's another question, another discussion. But all these guys start flooding the blood at once, you know, there's a challenge, right? So the more you exercise and you push toxins into the blood, into the lymphatic system, the more you need to help, which is another reason why the NRF2 system, or the monthly detox rather, focuses on the lymphatic side as well as the NRF2. Now, senescent cells. Fat cells contribute to senescent cells. Fat cells contribute to senescent cells because fat cells block apoptosis. Fat cells block apoptosis. And it also blocks everybody's favorite regenerative system. Right? So this is a key that you got to realize. Right? Then also, AGE, advanced glycation end products. Advanced glycation end products. Right? Advanced glycation end products. Right? So we have to realize that all of these things are going to impact us. Now, high protein, high protein, high protein. Go into your tuna, your chicken, your bison, your beef, all of those things with caution. With caution. Right? With caution, because you have to realize that all of those things may add to the toxic load while providing the protein. Right? What you want to do, right, to be on the safe side is boost up your greens, your lentils, your seaweeds, right? Mustard greens, cinnamon, right? Keep that antiviral on deck just in case. Listen, I don't believe you could be like, I don't know. I keep telling people the Amber story. I keep telling folks the Amber story. Like, listen, if I didn't have stuff on deck, it wouldn't be no Amber story. Just now, this virus came through December. This virus just right now, whatever this new thing is that's making people feel like they got razor blades in their throat. That hit my house, bam. You know what I'm saying? Because not only do I got 5 babies that are in school, but they on teams and all that. Yeah. The big ones is on teams. Caleb is on the band. Chloe and Chase, they on basketball and cross country. Caleb is in cross country and band. They in cross country and basketball. And then my little ones, they in like Brainiac programs. They in some type of science, some STEMs, whatever. They got something else they doing. Right? But what I'm saying is they in more contact with more kids. Right? The more stuff you're doing in school, the more kids you in contact with, right? The more bacteria, the more viruses you in contact with, you know, the more tap water they drinking, right? The more tap they drinking, you know, so more exposure, right? So for me, like, you got to have whatever you got to have on deck. You can't even play with it. Right? You got to be able to increase iodine levels like that. You got to be able to increase NRF2 levels like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, those things is things you got to be able to just go right into the kitchen and grab, bop, bop, bop. I got to be able to instantly jump iodine up, right? Because I want to jump up the metabolism rate, and then I want to jump up the viral, you know, the violence of my immune system. So when I put that iodine up in there, that's going to flush some things out into the open. And then I'm going to put some other stuff in there that everything flushed out into the open, get his head cut off. D-Nice talking about chickpeas. Yeah. Chickpeas, all that. Yeah, all that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what's really good though? I'll be honest. Soup is good. Soup is overlooked for protein. Soup is overlooked for protein. You know what I'm saying? But soup is really good because you can make some beans, right? Any sort, whatever you like, right? Whether it's lentils, chickpea, black beans, navy bean, whatever, right? And you basically just add in your beans to some good vegetables, right? Some good herbs, which is your seasoning, and some water, right? Period. Now, some of y'all doing the beef broth, chicken broth, whatever, you know, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, you know what I'm saying, it's really just pulse, right? Your pulses, which is your peas, your lentils, your beans, right? And some veggies, whether it's onions, well, I guess that depending on how you get it, can be considered seasoning, right? But remember, inside your soups and your sauces is where you can smuggle in capsules of, the detox, the kimming. You can smuggle into your food a couple capsules. If you're making a soup or you're making a pasta, right? You should get into the habit of smuggling in the herbs on your family, especially throughout the winter, right? Because pasta's heavy. So you can put maybe 4 capsules of kimmy in your pasta sauce and it won't change the taste of the sauce. Depends. You might have to do 2 capsules depending on how much seasoning you do to your sauce, right? So if your sauce is not really that heavily seasoned, you might just do 2 capsules, right? But if you put a lot of seasoning in it and you put in ground meat, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that in there, you can do 4 capsules. Yeah, it don't matter whether your ground meat is from a cow's booty or whether it's beyond or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Fake ground meat, real ground meat. You'll know when you're officially a plant eater when you stop saying things like that. Because people who are vegans don't talk about, like, they don't say those type of things inside their house. You're not going to hear somebody who's in a vegan household be like, hey, do y'all want some plant-based burgers tonight? Like, nobody says that. Nobody says that. Only people say that is people that don't eat that stuff on a regular basis. They'll say, hey, would you guys like to have some plant-based burgers? Because normally we're having regular burgers. So tonight, would you like that? But if you only ever have plant-based burgers, you don't say, would you like to have some Beyond Burger? You don't say that. You just say, are we having burgers tonight? Because that's what you're having, right? You say, yeah, we having chicken tonight. That means you having, plant-based with, like, people be looking for distinctions to be made on the internet that aren't realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody that lives in a plant-based household is like, hey, we're having plant-based ribs tonight. Like, it's just regular. And then like, hey, we're going to have some of that plant-based mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. Like, no, we're just going to have mac and cheese, right? The fact that, you had a plant-based household means that that's going to be plant-based, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it's wild, you know what I'm saying? Because people be like, oh, Inky said he having a sausage. Wait a minute. So you think at my house I say plant-based sausage? Put on one of them plant-based sausages for me. Like, nobody says that. There ain't no other type of sausages that's in there. You know what I'm saying? So again, and if somebody knows you, then they know which one if you got Beyond in there sitting next to some pork joints, they know who's supposed to have what in your house. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Said moringa too. Moringa's hot. I like moringa though. Moringa's hot. I realized moringa was wild when I was arguing with Chief X. I was like, wow. I mean, I learned some stuff about moringa before then, but when I was going back and forth with Chief X, shout out to him and his family and whatever else he got going on. But this is back when we was arguing about products and all that. I realized, I was like, wow, moringa is crazy. Yeah, there's so many different types of moringa. And then that's before people done pimped it out. You know what I'm saying? People growing moringa in Michigan and Canada and Cali and oh my goodness. It's just like weed. You know what I'm saying? Like people take the original seed, right? And go, nah, these is heirloom. So because this is heirloom, they market that. Like this is the heirloom. This is the organic heirloom, whatever. Right? This is the organic moringa from India. Yeah, this is from East Africa. Or this is woo woo woo. No. That moringa is not. The original seeds that you got was from there, but you done planted those seeds in North Carolina. So that moringa is not African moringa. That is North Carolinian moringa. That is not African. Yeah. No. I know you're talking about for me. But Paul, you know we're talking to other people. There's lots of people listening. Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying. Because if I say it indiscriminately, then people are going to be like, oh, well, I went to Amazon and got that thing for $9.98. Yeah, I got me some moringa for $9.98. I'm like, okay, yeah. That moringa right there you got for $9.98, that came from New Jersey. That moringa came from New Jersey. You got that, some of that Jersey moringa right there. That is not African or Indian. Yeah, that is not from India or Africa. That is from around the corner. Yeah, you got that from around the corner. That's that neighborhood work right there. Yeah, they got that from around the corner. Yeah, sometimes that's one of the reasons why the orders might take long. Because we waiting to get the herbs that's supposed to be in your blend. Them herbs got to come from where they supposed to come from. So if Trump is beefing with somebody or somebody, we still waiting on whatever got to come from wherever it got to come from. Yeah. I'm not going to get batana from Texas. We're going to wait till we get it from where it's supposed to come from. The batana got to come from where it got to come from. Man, talk that talk, Jack. Jack be talking that talk, Jack. Thank you, Jack.
Share the video, hit the like, subscribe, Cash App, Super Chat, AmericanHealer.website, Amazon.
In the beginning was the wave.
Resonate, see what I'm saying, levitate, resonate, nah, I mean I'm trying to elevate, resonate, words can't describe or articulate, resonate, feel me, celebrate. When they was partying and they was drinking, the gospel of music had me writing, thinking, music it sounds but it's also written words. Lego knows fifths, halves, quarters, thirds. The periodic table of atoms. The language of the gods and wave patterns. The periodic table of atoms. E equals MC squared. The musical wave patterns. The facts are late. Synapse engaged. Perhaps a slave. Collapse away. The heart detonate. The tongue generate. The stone demonstrate. The mind meditate. Honestly, honor me for escaping poverty, turning lemons to lemonade, noise into harmony, awfully. God is the music of my artery, the heart of me, the beat is the best part of me. God is the way, God is the music, God is the music. Without
freaky theory. You never seen God, but you fear him. My thoughts don't make sounds, but I can still hear them. My thoughts don't make sounds, but I can still hear them. I don't know, understand the love words, but I feel them. My heart wild, my heart savage. That's why it's so easy to love bad habits. They block pain like perks. The music alkaline below 20 hertz. I can feel it in my bones. Piezoelectric, we so electric. He gon' respect it. When they was partying and they was drinking, the gospel of music had me up writing, thinking. It sounds, but it's also written words. Lego knows fifths, halves, quarters, thirds.
In the beginning was the wave.
Periodic table of atoms. The language of the gods and wave patterns. The periodic table of atoms equals MC.
Share the video, hit the like, subscribe, Cash App, Super Chat, AmericanHealer.
Rolling through the sand like a thought in disguise. The scarab spins truth where the cosmos collide. Energy whispers, it never says goodbye. The Beatles crawl, the Beatles rise.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.
Sort of burst the chaos, yet the chaos rise. My name Beatles, 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 over and over, spinning the world in the grip of their shoulders. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober. The heat fades lower, the order begins. A stillness so perfect it hums from within. The void sings softly, entropy takes a bow. In the shadow of silence, the scarab knows how. The second law is dancing, feeding life through decay. The third law holds the promise that the stillness will stay. Beatles, 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 under and over, rolling through time till the blackness is sober.
Go to AmericanHealer.website now. Get the tools for health and inspiration the way God intended.